Hello there and welcome to another edition of the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Robin Washett, Steve Sipple. We have nearly made it, gentlemen. A week from today, we'll be doing this same very show for our proud statewide affiliates and all of our download subscribers on Husker Online channels and viewers, talking about a game. We will be in game week, but here we are. Last week of fall camp, still a lot of house cleaning items and depth chart questions. We learned a big one this week, though, after practice on Tuesday. And this is something, if you're a member of Husker Online, we had this information posted, before it was even made public. But the five players that, new players have earned single-digit jersey numbers for the upcoming season. So there are 5 that return. Okay. And those players could technically have lost them, but I think it would take a lot to lose. And that was a question we got a lot of, like, can't you unseat somebody? And I don't think that's what this is. I think if you aren't a good citizen or aren't a good teammate, yeah, you could lose that jersey. But those 5 players retain their jerseys. Nash Hutmacher is in 0. Ty Robinson's in 9. John Bullock is in 5. Deshaun Singleton's in 8. Isaac Giffords in 2. And they've worn those all camp. The 5 new ones: wide receiver Jamal Banks at number 4. That is the only offensive player that will be in a single-digit jersey. Jamari Butler on the defensive line will wear number 1. That means all 3 of the projected starters on the defensive line will be in a single-digit jersey as he'll join Hutmacher and Robinson. Then in the secondary, Marquise Buford's at 3. Tommy Hill's in number 6. Malcolm Hartstogg's at number 7, meaning all 5 of the projected starters in the secondary will also now be in single-digit jerseys. So 9 of the projected 11 starters on this defense will be wearing single-digit jerseys. The only 2 not in a single number will be the starting jack and one of the other inside linebacker positions. Presumably that's Mekhi Bayer and MJ Sherman. So quite a statement of just the balance of this team right now, the leadership that Tony White in this defense has, and the amount of respect, guys, this defensive unit has.
Defensive program. I mean, that's what you're looking at. That is really, I think it's really interesting, and I'm not going to make it a negative thing. Now, I will tell you this, though. If I were Marcus Satterfield, I'd want more representation. If I was the offensive coordinator, I'd look at it and think,
it's a player vote, though.
Guys, yeah, well, I know. I'd say I wish we could have a little more respect team wide. But it's pretty heavily tilted towards the defense. Very good defense, top 10 caliber defense. So that's probably, that's very representative of that thought, Rob.
Yeah, I can't say I'm overly surprised that it was so tilted in favor of the defense for all the reasons you mentioned. And also just the available candidates. I mean, how many guys were even deserving of that? Banks is interesting since he's only been here for 8 months.
Right.
But from the day he set foot on campus, he's been regarded as one of the best leaders, not on the offense, but on the entire team. So that made sense. But there are a couple of omissions, I mean, obviously offensive linemen, they can get like honorary ones like Ethan Piper did a year ago.
Ben Hart started how many straight games?
So like, you think that maybe
players aren't voting for O-line. If they can't even get one, why would you waste it?
It's kind of silly.
Like, why would you blow your vote?
So like the only other guy I could think of would be Thomas Fidone. Like a guy that I think has maybe worked his way into that realm of leadership.
Like Alex Bullock, you could make a case because he's a veteran, respected guy. But yeah, he's not in the pedigree of the other players.
Ramir
Johnson. I think that is the one.
He's got to be the kickoff return man, it sounds like. And I think.
Potentially.
And it sounded to me, Rob, like Foley made it sound like he's the guy. And, he could be. Isn't he 1 or 2 at running back?
I would think so. In all the scrimmages and stuff that they've done that we've been able to see, he's been the first guy or the second guy.
Anyway, the one that you mentioned, Rob, is it Fidone that surprises you most?
For me, yeah.
Ramir, though. And by the way, we are officially in Ramir Jordan season by Stephen M. Sipple. We got our first Ramir of the football season.
R-A-H. That's how he spells it.
Ramir.
He follows me on Twitter. So he's not upset.
Jordan Ball.
He's never corrected you.
No.
Kai Wallin.
Hey, it's Nash Hutmacher, by the way, not Hutmacher.
Do you know that?
I do know that. People correct us all the time on it.
Hutmacher.
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 I like that.
So add that one to the list.
Okay. Of wrong pronunciations.
Wrong pronunciation.
But yeah, this team, it
Yes,
just
Sean.
the captain voting too. Now, where will that go? Traditionally it's kind of 2 offense, 2 defense. Well, there's only one single digit guy and a captain. Will Jamal Banks be a captain as a newcomer, or will the captain voting reflect a Ramir Johnson and some of these players? And that I'd imagine we could learn during the Boneyard Bash on Saturday, which is a closed student event that the team will have. And one of the traditions they've done in the past is introduce the captains to the team.
That's right.
The students that night.
Right. So that could happen. Anyway, it's notable at the very least that 9 of the 10 single digits are defense.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive team.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see it be a defensive special team. I'd like to see the special teams jump into that. Have it be a defense special teams program right now if we're going to do this, and have the special teams ramp up.
Now, they said you could technically lose your jersey from a year ago, but nobody did. Now, if it'd be interesting if like Jeff Sims would have stayed here as a backup to Dylan Raiola, that might have been a situation where he didn't keep it. But it just doesn't seem like you're going to really ever see a guy lose one of these numbers.
What if you lose your starting job? That's the question I have in my mind. What if you lose your starting job?
Are you still a leader, though, and a guy that does things the right way?
I don't know what the answer is.
Like, okay, Damian Jackson's a great example. If he was a part of this program with Matt Rule, odds are he was going to be wearing a single-digit type jersey. He's never a starter. Played specials.
Yeah.
You're like a Brandon Rigoni, throwback name, not a starter, captain on the 06 team.
You're not seeing that here, by the way. You're not seeing that kind of representation of that sort.
Like
of play.
Phelan Sanford would have been a guy like that you could have said, random but Phelan Sanford ended up kind of being a starter.
Yeah. Didn't have a single though.
It does. I don't think this necessarily means you're a starter in a lot of cases. I just think it means you're the baddest, toughest dudes that do things the right way.
Yeah, Rob, is this where people say you guys are making too much of this?
Yeah, I think so. Because I don't think it has strictly to do with if you're a starter. It's not like the black shirts where either you're going to lose them and take them away mid-season or anything like that. I think this is a deal where you earn it over the course of the entire offseason. And then you have to continue to earn it through the season, obviously, before the revote. So I think it goes back to you have to do something probably pretty bad to lose yours. And it doesn't have anything to do really with playing time. I think it's how you handle yourself every single day on and off the field, in workouts and all that stuff.
Okay.
And what do you guys think of Dylan Raiola? People ask, but as a freshman, probably the starting quarterback. We don't know the depth chart yet. That hasn't been announced yet. We think that will be any day now as well. No surprise at all. Or do you think a true freshman has to kind of earn his stripes a little bit more before they earn that type of number?
Yeah,
that's my take.
I suppose somebody could say, well, Banks hasn't done anything for Nebraska, but he's done a lot in college football.
Jeff Sims is the same way. He got one last year.
He got one. So good question. I don't know what a true freshman would have to do to come in and get a single digit. Now, if there's a candidate, let's not act like we're total babe in the woods here. We know Dylan's acquitted himself very well. If there was ever a true freshman, I think would have a shot at it, it would be Dylan.
Yeah. So my point to take away from this is if Dylan Raiola can't get one, will a true freshman ever get one? For as long as Nebraska does this?
Ja'Cory Barney. Those guys have come in.
If the starting quarterback doesn't get a single digit and who's been basically doing everything right since the day he got
seems
here,
like it, yeah.
I think that kind of shows you that maybe freshmen aren't getting them.
Yeah.
And here's a hypothetical for you. Has there ever been a freshman game 1, week 1 that could be this impactful immediately? Mon Green came off the bench. Tommy Frazier wasn't a starter till later in his freshman year.
Good question.
Adrian Martinez.
Yeah, Adrian
is the only one I can think of where right out of the good. He got hurt though. He got hurt.
Yeah.
So he didn't finish off Colorado. They lost. And in the Troy game, Andrew Bunch starts. And so Adrian's start of the year, he finished strong, but his start was delayed.
Was there anybody else? I don't.
You can think about true freshmen like David Horn, but again, he didn't do it out of the gates.
And they weren't quarterbacks.
Right.
The quarterback's a different animal.
Ralph Brown would be another one. Ralph Brown, for him to earn a starting job on essentially a national championship defense as a true freshman in that era was unheard of.
Right.
Will Shields to earn a true freshman starting job. That's why he's an NFL Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the rare air that Raiola will be in.
We think.
I mean, oh, come on. Quit being that guy. Like, are you just doing that to get me, like, annoyed?
Triggered.
I don't know. Well, Rule might just feel, you know what, I'm going to mess with those Husker Online guys, and I don't think that's not healthy for anybody.
I got
don't know.
Sean?
We got to be careful here.
By the way, Rick Allen, back on the Chasing Three again. I mean,
Oh, really?
yeah, he's the new, like, NFL Films voice of Nebraska.
You got it. Can you do it? Can you pull one off here? A little
I'm trying to
imitation.
get,
Come on, imitation.
One of the new traditions that head coach Matt Rule has introduced at Nebraska are the single-digit jerseys. It's an honor that will be in Husker history for years to come. And as camp wrapped up on Tuesday, Rule announced 5 new Husker players who wore the single digits.
Very good.
Very
good.
Matt Rule. Guys, just got one announcement to make.
Strong. Cut to Matt Rule. Yeah.
And then he's making the announcement.
Yep. Pretty good Rule right there. Sneaky good Rule imitation. Sean will bust into Rule sometimes, and it's the best I've heard. Sean can do a little bit of Rule. It's interesting.
Now I don't want him to put me on the spot and like do it, like get me in
Sean,
trouble.
I'm kind of hoping he does.
I kind of.
So on the Chasing Three, though, they did a golf thing, where they wanted to put pressure on the players and the coaches, and so the coaches had to come up in like a 40-50 yard golf shot, had to get it through the crossbar. That was
Is that right?
And so Satterfield, who is a known Firethorn member, good golfer, he missed his shot.
Did he really?
But Rule and his son Bryant, who's working around the football program, a freshman at UNL, they both got up and nailed their shots.
Really? Through the upright.
And you know, the players could taunt and yell and try to get in their head. And Rule just said, like, you know, 9 out of 10 times I probably don't make this shot, but the people yelling and screaming, it got me focused more. I stepped up, I made it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, and
he was fired. Rule was like, you could tell he was fired up. Like, he took his club and threw it down. And I mean, it's a well done show. I mean, really I said on the board, it's going to win some awards. I mean, I know last year they won some Emmy awards in the sports Emmys. It's better. The show's even better this year. The production, the voiceover elements.
I'd like to see you on one of those shows doing the Rule imitation.
Yeah, maybe you're
Sean
next.
doesn't do it impromptu. Sometimes he just lapses into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
You should have seen Daniel Kalin sing.
And what did he sing?
Just the two of us.
Oh, just the two of us. He went throwback.
And Carter Nelson, they both got up and sang in front of the team. But Daniel Kalin was like,
just the two of us? We can make it if we try?
yeah.
Just the two of us, you and I?
Yes.
Keep going.
I don't know that I could if you want me to.
It definitely had a Hard Knocks.
Please don't.
Aiden Hutchinson, you know, they always get that rookies and Hard Knocks to get up and sing. Aiden Hutchinson got up and did Michael Jackson Thriller.
It was good.
That was probably like one of the best Hard Knocks moments.
Saw it
ever.
on TikTok. It was good. It was definitely good.
All right. Well, when we come back, we'll talk more about the offensive depth chart and the kicker position. Surprisingly, that is, I think, the most intriguing thing that we don't know yet. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washington. We're going to talk offensive storylines, but this segment of the Husker Online Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's a tough time of year, guys. Stressful time of the year. You're juggling school activities, work. For us, we're juggling some of the busiest weeks of our lives during football season with all the different things along with family. It's hard sometimes to find the balance. Sometimes you need help. You need someone to talk about what you're going through. And there's no better way to get through that than therapy. BetterHelp provides you with that. And it is so easy. You do it on your own time. You set it up on their website. Check them out at betterhelp.com/Husker today. They're going to give you 10% off your first month. That's at betterhelp.com/Husker. And they are going to get you all set up. Thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, let's get into the offensive storylines, guys, for Nebraska. And I want to hit on quarterback, but I actually want to start with kicker because I do think of all the positions out there, this is the one with the most intrigue for me right now because by no means does it feel like, at least today, that Tristan Alvano is going to be the week 1 kicker. In fact, it almost has a feel that John Hole will be the guy. I tend to read body language, and that's just my read and feel I had from listening to Ed Foley as we kind of await the news on Tristan Alvano and his growing injuries recovering from.
Yeah. Okay. So Ed Foley, the facts of the matter are, Foley said Alvano's 90% recovered. He said that John Hole's kicking the ball well. It's basically either going to be John Hole or Tristan Alvano. They also have Nico Ottamanelli, but Alvano characterized him as the number 3. I'm kind of like Sean. He said the words that John Hole is kicking the ball really well. Alvano can't kick off. So that would be, I guess that it was a sort of a revelation to me. That would be Hole or Buscini.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to worry about Alvano that way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we don't know right now. They don't know right now who will be their kicker against UTEP, but I'm with Sean. It sounds like Johnny Hole, Lincoln Southwest graduate via Iowa Western, is the guy. It sounds like that.
Well, it's not like this momentum just started with him either, too. He's been getting some praise ever since Alvano went down and Hole got thrust up the rotation a little bit, and he's done nothing but take advantage of that opportunity. And he's a guy too, Sean, that came in with a lot of good praise around him, that people that had seen him kick knew he was way better than just some obscure walk-on they just added late in the process. So this is a guy that had some chops to him, and when he had that window and Alvano was forced to miss some time, he took it and ran with it. And right now, I agree with you. They're still going to make it take a few days. I think a couple of days is what Ed Foley said today before they finally make that decision. But by the end of the week, they're going to have to pick a starter. And right now, I'd say Johnny Hole's the front runner.
Our photographer, Casey Fritton, his son was the quarterback on the Lincoln Southwest team with John Hall. And immediately when they added him, I mean, Casey said, watch this guy. You better watch him. And I think, with high school, he was fine. But high school kicking is not always that consistent. You might have a bad holder. You might have a bad snapper. You might have bad protections. Mm-hmm. You could be on a tee box or on the ground. Right. And he needed that year at Iowa Western. And my understanding is he came in to those June camps. He did 2 workouts,
rule camps,
and kicked the cover off the football. Mm-hmm. So it is an intriguing story. And if you're Tristan Alvano, the competitor that we know he is, I'm sure he's just chomping at the bit right now to get back.
I would think so. Alvano's numbers last year were just okay. He was 9 for 15 on field goals. He kicked 14 of his 32 kickoffs for touchbacks. And now I don't know. He didn't miss an extra point. I don't know how many he kicked, but he didn't miss. Hell, he didn't score a lot of touchdowns. But he didn't miss any. He was a little shaky, so he's got a lot to prove. And then he has an injury. So yes, it's a what you hope if you're Tristan Alvano as you look back at his freshman season and then this period going into a second season as a rough period that you put in your past and became one of the long line of excellent kickers that Nebraska's had. You just don't know right now. Mm-hmm. You just got to see how he comes out of it.
Well, especially with the injury that he has, it's not just about kickoffs. It's about how far back can they trust him.
Right.
Like how far is his range physically, like that he can actually kick. So that's something they just don't know yet because they're being so careful with him as he recovers. He's basically just doing chip shots right now. So while he's doing apparently pretty well from decent range, the long kicks might be a separator there, where if you need a guy that's going to go knock a 52-yarder in, can Alvano physically do that?
Right. And we've seen, some of the best kickers in this program dealt with adversity. Josh Brown actually for a short while lost his starting kicking job and then obviously got it back and went on to have a long NFL career.
God, Sean, how do you remember that stuff? You're right. He did lose his job.
Did he lose it to Sandro DeAngelis for just a cup of coffee?
Sandro came in and just for a little bit though. Just for a little bit. Sandro was a kickoff man.
But Josh also tried to play receiver.
Yeah, he did.
Like he went through a spring and
misguided.
Just somebody's like Sam Foltz probably could have done that, but he understood he was the punter, that's going to be something to watch. Now the quarterback depth chart, I think we all are on the same page. It's a matter of how, when. To me, running back, are you expecting an outright number 1 or an between, let's just say, Ramir Johnson and Emma Johnson?
Go ahead, Rob. Address this.
And Gabe Ervin. I'm not going to rule out Gabe Ervin.
I think at this point, no one has done enough to outright be the clear number one. So I would expect some oars on the depth chart. Now I would probably expect, I don't know. Right now, do you think Ramir's the one?
No, I don't know though. I'm not
like if who's going to take the first snap.
I don't feel strongly enough to say that. I just know what Rule said. Rule is really illuminating and really lays it out for you. I mean, what he wants is a guy that can get you 20 carries, a guy, get you 12, and then a role player. My guess is it's Emmett Johnson, Ramir Johnson, some combination 1 and 2. That's my guess, with Gabe Irvin as the role player.
And if Gabe Irvin is durability is an issue, then Dante Dowdell all of a sudden becomes a factor.
I like the 4, and we could be wrong, by the way. Maybe Gabe Irvin's the guy or the number 2 guy. I bet it's a pretty close horse race there.
Yeah, all we know is what we've seen, and everything we've seen as far as the quote unquote first team offense.
Yeah, what have
during
you seen,
fall
Rob?
camp? It's been either Emmett or Ramir.
Yeah, when we see
they've alternated too. It's not been a consistent. This is the first guy out there. Like when they do their team compete periods or anything like that we've been able to watch. It's been kind of a mix and match. Even within the same drive, they've been alternating. So I don't know where that separation is at this point.
All right, then lastly, a lot on the offensive line we talk about, but I want to hit on Micah Mazzccua.
Yeah.
We spoke with him for the first time since he's been at Nebraska this week, and man, they're just just on the cusp. I mean, he's just a mean dude,
off the cuff.
You can just tell.
I agree.
You wouldn't want to take that guy's lunch.
No, not at all. I mean, he's 6'5", 325
with hands that look like bear claws.
Right. Yeah. No, he's got the it fat. Look at him. Yeah, that's not the guy you want in front of you all day long.
He's not scared of anybody. I can tell you that.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
He says, I'm not worried about people or being afraid of anybody. They got to be afraid of me.
And he also said that about the line.
Mm-hmm.
He wants that to be the line's mentality.
It used to be.
It did.
Back when things were going right.
Yeah. Now
that was the mentality on that offense.
He is a throwback, though. It reminds you of kind of what linemen were here. I mean, in the past,
100.
You just had angry guys that you just
some of them. Yeah, Weird would be an example.
I mean, guys, when we were in college, the three of us, we're dating ourselves here. But when they walked into the party, everybody got the hell out of the way.
When Richie Incognito rolled in, let's get out of here, guys.
And Richie Incognito just starts punching people in the nuts.
Give me easy.
Don't make eye contact.
I've been hit. I told you that story.
I watched Richie Incognito military press a bar table at the bar.
Nice.
I was like, all right, it's time for us to leave.
But give me somebody,
Junior Tagwine.
Nice.
A guy you wouldn't want to mess with.
No. Give me some others, though.
I mean, guys that didn't even play.
Uyghur was one.
Coulterman. I mean, there were guys.
Coulterman was one. Yeah, Coulterman once was driving downtown. I think it was right after his career. He was driving a station wagon with panels on the side. It was incredible. He'll remember this. And here's what he did. I was walking into the Journal-Star, and he goes, "Hey, Sipple." And I turned around and he flipped me off. That's an offensive line.
I mean, let's be honest. They've had guys that
I appreciate
have the bodies and look the part, but they didn't necessarily have that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys that were like singing in the choir.
Right. He was a low rider in a paneled station wagon. And he gave me the "Hey, Sipple."
Alex Lewis was like that.
Alex Lewis, thank you.
I remember him and Randy Gregory just fighting at practice.
Woo, Alex Lewis. This is a great example.
I mean, he punched an Air Force cadet in the middle of the street.
I think he broke his jaw
and had to go to prison.
Yeah. How would you like to get punched by Alex Lewis? Think about that for a second.
No thanks.
Oh, there was that time where he and Randy were going at it so hard in practice that they had to take Alex out of there.
Now, they took him over to the trainer's room, and Barney Cotton had to basically walk him and calm him down because he was so heated.
Well, Kaczynski lost his mind. Rick Kaczynski, because Lewis was going so hard at Gregory, who was a first-round level player.
Those things got intense. They got intense.
And somehow that was an era we got to watch that.
Mm-hmm. Kaczynski and Barney used to go at it. I mean, it was beautiful. It's just, that's what you want. I mean, you want that in football.
Well, I think I could see Donovan not being shy.
100. Yeah. Yeah. 100. It gets rough. Yeah. We saw that day.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Lewis is a great example. Was there somebody else on that? It seemed like there was somebody else on that line. I'd almost say that was like that. They had some dudes. I mean, okay, here's a pretty obvious one. Dominic Raiola. He was a very obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you didn't want to mess with Dominic in any way. He had a hard edge and an aura.
Mazzccua seems to fit that bill.
Yeah, he does. Mazzccua does.
We went down a rabbit hole there, but that was fun, guys.
was kind
Story
of fun.
time.
And now the danger when we do that is inevitably people will point out in the comments who we missed. Yeah, we're not going to.
There's a lot of guys.
Yeah, we're not going to get everybody.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk defense. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washed. Before we get to the defense, this segment brought to you by Ellerbrock-Norris. They've been helping Nebraska business owners protect their purpose for over 120 years. With risk management solutions built for local businesses, Ellerbrock-Norris partners with you on commercial insurance, group benefits, business exit planning, safety, and more. Start thinking long-term with your business and create a risk management strategy to protect it. Workplace, are your employee benefit costs going through the roof? Talk to Ellerbrock. Are your workplace injuries skyrocketing your workers' compensation costs? Talk to Ellerbrock. Hoping to retire in the next 10 years and sell the business to family, key employees, or even a friendly competitor? Talk to Ellerbrock. Ellerbrock-Norris is helping you protect your purpose, whether it's your business and the employees in it, or your life outside of work and your future retirement goals. Head to ellerbrocknorris.com/HuskerOnline today to get your free risk evaluation. Thank you to Ellerbrock-Norris for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, on to the defense. And, you know, the big news of the week was Javen Wright's injury and out for an indefinite amount of time. And I know there's a chance he could return, but it just doesn't have a good feel right now. And my heart just breaks for Wright because I think, you know, he was poised to have a very good season. He looked good. We talked to him earlier in camp. And, you know, he's played 22 games now over the last 2 years. So it's not like this has been an issue the last 2 years for him. He's kind of overcome all of this. And it just really is heartbreaking to realize he's going to have to go through this again now.
All of this, I mean, what we're talking about is two blood clot diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about what else, Rob?
He's had knee
shoulder
injuries.
surgery.
Yeah, 2 season-ending MCL tears, and he had one other
Shoulder.
season-ending injury. Yeah,
He had a shoulder injury.
So, yeah, 3 physical injuries and then 2 blood clots.
Yeah.
And now this, whatever this is.
Yeah, whatever this is. So, yeah, you don't rule out that he would come back. You just don't know. Now, yeah, of course your heart breaks for him. He's been through too much. He's really mentally tough, though, as Rob has written in Rob wrote a story about him. Was it you or Joseph?
I wrote one a couple years ago.
Joseph wrote the most
Yeah.
recent one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most
And-
recent one was Joseph.
And he's very proud of his mental toughness. And he says you never can take that away, which you can't. Now, that position group is strong. It was he and Bullock. Those were the 2 bell cows. There's no doubt about it. Those were the leaders of the room.
With Mekhi Bayer and Shavers kind of the next wave, and
Yeah.
Stephon Thompson kind of in
Yeah.
the waiting room.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they have, I mean, that's pretty good. That's actually really good depth with Bayer, who has 4 starts, Shavers, who is looks like he could be a freshman phenom. It really does.
Mhm.
Another version of maybe Ernest Hausman.
And then Stephon Thompson, who how many starts at Syracuse? A lot.
Mhm.
So they're in pretty good shape there. None of those guys are as good as Wright, though. They're not. Wright was a starter for a
Yeah,
reason.
from the sheer versatility of his length and the speed and the cover skills and the weight that he put on to be, you know, productive in the box. Like he did everything for that
He's
defense.
6'5".
Yeah.
6'5"
With those long arms. I mean,
Yes.
you can cover a lot of ground with a guy like
6'5".
that.
Yeah, a lot of, and he's a violent tackler. He's a
Mhm.
big loss. It is a loss. Hopefully he'll be back. But yeah, that was big news on Saturday.
And one of the things Rule said, or maybe it's Tony White, I can't remember, but one of the coaches basically said that they want to have at least a 3-man rotation at inside linebacker. Ideally, you have 4.
Mhm.
So that's a big piece now out of it. But as we talked about, there's bodies there. There's players there that I think are capable of rising to the occasion. Obviously, Bayer looks to be the starter. Stephon Thompson appears to have really come on over the course of fall camp. When he got here, it seemed like, you know, kind of like a Micah Mazzccua, he struggled to meet the standard, as they always say.
Mhm.
But it sounds like he's kind of getting his feet under him a little bit in that way. And other names they mentioned, Gage Stanger.
Yeah.
Dylan Rogers is in that conversation.
Yeah,
and
we always
obviously
forget about
Shavers.
Dylan Rogers.
So, I mean,
Redshirt freshman.
they've got guys that are like right on that point of taking a step, and maybe this will be the opportunity they need.
Yeah, that position, though, I mean, the first game, UTEP is going to try to run over 100 plays. That's their style. I like the matchup though for Nebraska with this defense in this week 1, because guess where you're strong on the D line, so you can create a 3 or 4 man pass rush, and then where are you really strong in the back end?
Yeah,
the communication, the tackling, the physicality. You hope that wins out for Nebraska in the opener, because the second level definitely is. If you were to say the weakest of the 3, that's probably still the weakest of the 3.
Yeah, weak. It's the least,
The most vulnerable of the 3.
Yeah.
And
it is.
And if you're
sure.
UTEP, that's probably what you're going to try to match up.
Yep.
Match up the linebackers, cross them up, and that will be what they'll go after. And Scotty Walden's going to want to try to run a lot of snaps here.
Yeah,
it could be 100 degrees at 2:30 that day. You don't know.
And none of those guys can cover the way Wright could. I'm just saying it.
No, they really. I don't think they can. You're right.
And there's no timeline on his decision or announcement on when he comes back, but black shirts too. We don't know what those are, but I think we know.
I mean, we know 9 of them.
I think we got
know
9
of them.
And the other 2, there's 2 other starting spots.
The 9 that we know today, and then Bayer and MJ Sherman. That's it, right? Are we done? That's it. Meeting over.
Yeah.
If they go for a couple more, who would you put? Anybody?
Yeah, I don't know, but it really took some steam out of the black shirt announcement.
Meeting over.
Well,
you're not going to give one to Vincent Shavers.
No, not yet.
And I don't think Princewell's going to get one yet.
No.
So it's MJ Sherman, Bayer, and that's it.
So not James Williams. No.
No, I don't think
probably
so.
not.
No, I mean, I think this.
What about like a Lenhart?
Ooh. Yeah, Lenhart's right. God, I'd almost say yes.
So if you did 12,
yeah, I know I would say that, not just based on feel, but based on something Tony White has said. They regard him as a starter. Tony White has said the words, "We regard him as a starter."
I wonder if there's other guys that fit that bill as well.
I don't know.
Like, you don't think there's
who would that be?
It would have been.
What about like Bly Hill?
Ooh, Bly Hill's not all the way back though.
True. Right. No,
he's never played at Nebraska.
I'd wager on Lenhart getting a black shirt.
So you're going to say 12?
Yeah.
Okay. No. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to bring Abby Barmore in. We'll take your questions in the mailbag. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut, Abby Barmore joining us here for the mailbag. This segment of the Husker Online Show brought to you by CHI Health and their great priority care walk-in service. This is the time of year where you might be sick. You might have something wrong. You don't have time to schedule an appointment. You want to be seen now. And in like Steven Sipple's case or mine, you want to be seen in like 15 minutes and get home. Well, the priority care option at CHI is outstanding. They are open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I have used it many times. My wife has used it. My daughters have used it. If you've got, congestion or just aches, pains, minor things that need to be addressed, you just walk into your favorite CHI Health location with priority care. Give them your name. You wait. You come in. You're seen. And if it's during business hours, they even have a pharmacy on site there.
Wow.
But I have gone in on Sundays, Saturdays, holidays. They are open 7 days a week. It is a great hidden gem. I'm almost hesitant to give away the secret because when I go there, we're able to get seen so quickly. And that is usually your nightmare when you go to an urgent care type facility. You got to wait for hours in a full waiting room. That has never been the case in any of my family's experiences with CHI Health and their priority care. Check them out online at chihealth.com/priority care to find out more. Once again, no appointments are needed at any of these CHI Health priority care locations. Okay, Abby, let's get to the mailbag. Where are we going?
Outside of Dylan Raiola, which player are you most intrigued to watch this year?
Carter Nelson, for sure.
Did you see him in the Chasing 3?
No.
So they went to Urban Air, the trampoline park, and they had this like American Gladiator, like balance beam thing where you stand on it and you have like a stick and you're fighting, you're like stick fighting somebody. And it's really hard to stay balanced on this thing. And he took out like 7 dudes in a row.
He's a freak.
And like kept his balance the whole time.
He's an American Gladiator in addition to a football player. Then couple that, piggyback, if you will, on Sean's comments, what Foley said today. Foley, Ed, the special teams coordinator who said that he picked out Carter as an unsung player. He's going to play on special teams. I mean, which was sort of interesting that he said there's no thought of redshirting Carter Nelson.
No,
he's playing special teams, and he said he just immensely talented and has a knack for football, which is exactly what I would have said coming out of the Polynesian Bowl. Immensely talented, knack for football. He just knows what he's doing on a football field, and he happens to be 6'5", 225, and growing.
And he high jumps 7 feet.
Oh, that's no big deal.
I mean, he could jump over small buildings.
Yeah, and fight off people with sticks. So he's a special one.
You just see him running like there's barricades on the street. I just imagine. It's like, I mean, this guy could
like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What do you think? Who would you say, Rob?
Uh,
Come on, give me a good.
Oh,
one.
here it is. Look at this is Carter on his American Gladiator balance beam. Just everybody's trying to take him down.
Oh
what a
God.
beast. Well, look at the form these guys are doing.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's smiling while he does
Yeah.
it.
And this little kid, he lets the kid beat him.
I want him to smoke this 10-year-old.
This thing could be just.
He
Just,
like,
what if you
smoked
just hammered him?
Oh!
All right.
Nice shot by that kid, by the way.
Pick a wide receiver for me. Banks,
wide receiver.
Nayor. But if I had to go with just one in that group, just from a pure dynamic X factor standpoint, I want to go Ja'Cory Barney.
Really?
Because I think
Good
he
call.
can bring an element, not just to the receiver room, but to the return game especially, that we haven't seen here in a long time. And so if he can kind of solidify one of those roles, kick and or punt, what could that do for Nebraska's, trying to find that next step to winning these close games? How much having a dynamic X factor like that in the return game, how much of a difference could that
He's
make?
got to win the job, though.
I know he does. And he's in there. He's very much in there.
He's
But I
in the
think
top
right
three.
now he's a freshman going with some much more veteran players that they trust a whole lot more at both those spots.
Now, Deshaun Singleton's not a newcomer, but we got such a small
name.
sample size.
Mhm.
I'm excited to see
He was
what
really
a
good last year.
refined, healthy Singleton looks like game
Oh,
one.
yeah. That's a great one. Mazzccua a good one, too. Newcomer that you
Yep,
wonder
That's
about.
a good one.
Should we talk about mean offensive linemen for another 10 minutes?
Yeah. Who are some others?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? There's a lot of players in this discussion that I think if I were a Nebraska fan, I'd be intrigued and excited to see.
All right, next question.
Okay, next one. Which position and or who do you think will wear the helmet communication on defense?
Well, on defense, I think it's John Bullock. I think he's been one of they call it the green dot.
They've been
Inside linebacker.
experimenting other guys between linebackers and safeties. Like Gifford's worn it in practice. So I agree. I think it's going to be the inside linebacker, but I think they could give it to somebody else in the middle of the defense is what you're looking at.
Abby, I would tell you this: it doesn't have a big
On defense.
impact, especially because of the preponderance of fast-paced offenses in college.
Well, they're going to play their fastest pace offense of the season probably week one.
right. There's just not a lot of time for conversing
Mhm.
in that scenario.
You might say, and when Scotty Walden's trying to run a snap in 14 seconds after the whistle, you might be able to say, watch this guy. And that's, I mean, you're not going to have much time to say.
It has a limited impact on defense. Matt Rule has said that in very clear terms.
And it's loud. So when the black shirts are on the field on a crucial third down, do you think they're going to be able to hear in the helmet?
That'd be hard. Yeah, it'd be hard.
All
I
right.
think. I don't know what that technology's like.
Is it like an ear thing in your ear, or is it just in the helmet and it's like
in the helmet.
it's like a headphone on your ear?
Yeah, it's like a speaker in the helmet.
It's made in Lincoln, by the way, the company.
Former
All right.
Husker.
Next question.
Okay, what's the minimum number of games Nebraska has to win for you to consider this a successful season? Is a bowl game enough, or based on this schedule, is there a little more than that?
That's such a hard question because the season can turn with injuries and other things like last year. I mean, with the running backs and the receiver injuries and then the quarterback problems they dealt with, it changed everything. And they still somehow got to 5 by early November and couldn't get that 6th win. And I think about that all the time. If they would have got to 6 wins, yeah, that would have been great. But what if like Chuba Purdy or Heinrich Harburg looked good the last couple of games? Does Dylan Raiola even end up here?
Never thought of that.
So if it all works out with Raiola, that might have actually helped their case to open the job back up. But I would like to at least see 7.
Yeah, how about the floor is 7 for me because I think that's very attainable and it should be. Well, because of the schedule and because of their defense and because of all the other pieces that they bring back. And if you assume your quarterback is anywhere remotely close to what you think he is, it's all set up. And anything below that, even if they get to 6, sure, it's a step in the right direction, but it doesn't feel great, with the opportunity they have in front of them. So I'll say 7 is the floor. If they get to 8, that is a big success in my mind.
That's a very reasonable take. That's the most reasonable thing you can say. I have noticed, however, that when I go around talk, if you say if you answer that question with 7, you get some thumbs down.
I got booed at Zipline.
Yeah,
you go full. You go full Bill Moose 2019.
Yeah. People don't like 7. Like when you answer the question that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people grasp though how hard it is to win 8 or 9 in the Big Ten now. It's a lot harder.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not. I know. I don't. It's you're kind of splitting hairs in a way when we all do it. 7's the baseline, but 8 would be great. I mean, I have kind of that way too. Let's face it. If they win 9, that would be very exciting.
I mean, it's like Big Ten Coach of the Year level.
If they win 9, they'd be in the playoff discussion in November.
In the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I just think I've said this to a lot of people I've talked to. I want to see 2 weeks of football. Give me 2. I mean, I know that's easy for anyone to say, but let's get 2 weeks of this, and then you're really going to know what kind of team this is.
2 weeks? You mean the first 2 games?
Yeah, the first 2 games.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's so hard until we see it all kind of play out for 2 full games. You don't really, and then the rest of the Big Ten as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
100.
Final question, Abby Barmore.
Which movie or TV show do you quote the most?
This is where me and Rob just back off, right?
I mean, growing up,
the floor is yours, Sean.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off was like a big one for me.
You like that, huh?
I could say a few lines.
Give me an example.
So the scene where Principal Rooney is calling.
You like this movie?
Julie Bueller. I think it's Julie Bueller calls her to tell Ferris has been sick 9 times. 9 times. 9 times. I don't remember Ferris being sick 9 times. That's because he wasn't sick. He was skipping school. Wake up and smell the coffee, Mrs. Bueller. It's a fool's paradise. And Ferris is just leading you down the Brimrow pathway.
Wow, Sean.
And then there's the restaurant scene.
What's the restaurant?
So they try to sneak into like a real fancy restaurant in
Who's
Chicago.
they?
Ferris Bueller, Cameron.
Have you seen this movie?
His girlfriend. You've never. This is
What?
like a classic.
I've seen snippets of it.
You grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
So they try to sneak in with a faulty reservation, and he looks at the book and sees Abe Froman, Party of 3, and he tells the snooty maitre d', Abe Froman, Party of 3. Abe, you're Abe Froman, the sausage king of Chicago? Yep, that's me. And then he goes, he says back to Ferris Bueller, he goes, I think it's time you take the field trip back to the clubhouse before I get snooty. Snooty, snotty. So there's my Ferris Bueller.
Okay, is Ferris Bueller really a classic, or
Yes.
Gone with the Wind is a classic? Okay,
Simple.
come on. Titanic.
Put
is
in
a
your
classic.
2 weeks notice. and
Have you
start-
seen Titanic?
Things just aren't working out.
Have you watched the Titanic?
Snippets.
It's a classic.
I
Snippets.
mean, you
Do
don't
you watch
cite
movies?
line, like Step Brothers is a movie you cite lines from.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's a good one. For me,
Do it, Rob.
For me, like basically name an Adam Sandler movie, but I'll go with
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, more for me,
Do
Billy Madison.
Okay.
That Veronica Vaughn is one. I can't even say a lot of them on the air here, but
Fine
like,
people.
yes, of
Fine. Okay.
I know from experience, if you know what I mean. No, you don't.
Mrs.
No, not me, but a buddy of mine. Him and her got it all. Woo-wee! No, they didn't. No, they didn't. But you can imagine what it'd be like if they did, huh? Everybody on the
This is my
bus.
favorite
Good,
question.
great,
Abby.
grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus. All right, I'm done.
Abby,
Wow, that's incredible.
you asked.
Yeah, I
That was-
definitely
and
got
they
the
delivered.
answer.
What about you?
I can't do it. I
Come
can't
on.
do it. I don't do
Come
it.
on.
I don't think I can off the cuff. I don't think I can. Off
Well,
the
at
cuff.
least tell us a movie or a show. that you
American
quote a
Made.
lot.
I mean, I've watched American Made probably 10 times, but I don't recite lines from it because it's not that sort of movie. It's a great movie. Tom Cruise, he plays Barry Seal, who was a drug smuggler for he was a TWA.
Escobar.
Yeah, he was a TWA pilot that turned drug smuggler. It's an incredible movie. I mean, it's really it's an American classic. If you're calling Bueller American Classic Ferris Beer,
well,
I'm calling American Made American Classic.
It's just one I cite from I mean, I cite a lot of lines and
I think people will side with you guys on this, but I would not back down.
Office Space is another one.
Can't you name a serious movie?
No, not my MO.
Well, because it's not comedy.
Godfather.
Who quotes movies that are serious? That's not fun. You want funny movies.
Like I'm not like gonna quote Gone with the Wind.
It'd be. I know you're not going to because you're not cultured.
Might be calling BetterHelp after I get off.
All right, that's enough. Wow, we get in trouble on these. Abby, ever notice that?
Yep.
I thought this was a safe one, but apparently not.
No.
Turns out this was the breaking point. Sean and Sip's relationship.
Robert and I always cite "I love you, man."
Yeah.
It's a guy, Paul
Rudd.
Paul Rudd doesn't have friends. Can't fill his wedding party, so he like tries to like recruit friends to become his.
He's going on like friend dates to try to make friends with guys, and he like gets awkward all the time. And he has a fun time with the guy, and they're leaving. He's like, "All right, check you later, Jobin." It's like, "Did you just call me Jobin?" Yeah, I don't know what it means. It doesn't mean anything.
So for like the last 15 years, Robin and I call each other Jobin. Like we just do it all the time. All the time.
Mm-hmm. It's taking on a life of its own.
It's pretty good. No, you guys that was sensational. Sensational.
All right. When we come back, we will close the show with some stock reports of fall camp. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Final segment of the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. Before we get into a fall camp stock report, our final one of August, this segment, Stephen M. Sipple, brought to you by who?
Larson Motors, Sean. You mentioned something really interesting to me the other day. You don't see a lot of people driving around in beaters anymore. It seems like most people have nice cars. Go get a nice car. I mean, go look at the cars at Larson Motors. Larson Motors in Nebraska City. It's one of the Midwest's only dealerships with all the major brands in one lot. Finding your new Chevrolet, GMC, Hummer, Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram has never been easier. Start that new experience today at LarsonMotorGroup.com. I'm going to say it again. LarsonMotorGroup.com or at Larson Motors in Nebraska City. Go there physically. Larson Motors, real people, real deals. Thank you, guys.
And I seriously, I need to get an update. How many people are going down there and asking where Sipple's at? Where is he at?
He's in the back.
I should go down. I mean, there's no reason not to.
Oh,
I'm going to be in the market for a car here pretty soon.
They will. Oh, they'll set you up. I know that.
Yeah, I want to get a pickup, Sean.
Light duty.
I just wanted to hear him say light duty. I'd probably go light duty right now.
Yeah, Sipple, a light duty truck though. Now it's kind of like what a big truck was like 20 years ago.
Kind of, and it's just it's
saves gas mileage.
Yeah, and it's more of a kind of a way of life thing now. I'm not the young guy anymore that needs a big pickup to make a statement. I've made my statements.
All right, that's right. I'm not ready to respond to that. But fall camp stock report.
All right.
Who we buying first? I'll go first unless somebody wants to.
Go ahead, Sean. You're the king.
Oh, you.
I got Vincent Shavers. I'm buying Vincent Shavers.
I like it.
Because of the news with Javin Wright. I just think right now for him, his stock at this point has never been higher. Going into the opening game against UTEP, he is going to play, in my opinion, 30, 40 snaps in the opener.
Don't you just as fans, just football fans, college football fans, want to see someone emerge that's like a future star? It's just funner on Saturday. It's more fun on Saturday when you have guys like that we've talked about all the time. Let's show me something. Show me that you can be a star in this league. It'd be fun to cover that.
You're up.
Oh, you want me to go next? Stock up, Marquise Buford. He's going to be a starting corner. Rule kind of has been a little coy, in my opinion, about that whole conversation.
They both have.
But yeah, and so is Marquise Buford. But Rule let down his guard, probably a little unintentionally on Saturday when he said, I look out there and I see Tommy Hill and I see Deshaun Singleton and I see Malcolm Hartzog and I see Ty Gifford and I see Marquise Buford at corner. Isaac Gifford. What did I call him?
Ty Gifford.
Wow. Interesting. Isaac Gifford. And I see Marquise Buford And you know what? He says I rest better at night, and I can see why. Wow, that's a nice secondary. It is. I mean, that then when he was saying that, I'm thinking, ooh, we always say the D line's the strength. That sounds like it could be. They could challenge the D line for the strength of that defense. Am I wrong?
Nope, you're not wrong. I'm going to go special teams. I'm going to go John Hull. Just
John
with the way that coaches talk about him, the way that he's taken off since that June camp where Ed Foley said he was a monster in that workout. And then when they watched him in person, he's done everything possible to maximize this opportunity like we talked about. And with Tristan Alvano's situation still kind of muddy right now, he seems to be on the fast track to potentially taking over that starting place kicking job.
Good one.
All right. Waiting to buy Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. I mean,
Great one.
Look, I know he's a veteran. He's proven himself, but he's been hurt both years at Nebraska. He's dealt with a lot. Can he be the punt returner that can just get him a 5 to 10 yard return? What can he give them? Can he help the receiving room? That's one I'm going to wait to buy on.
Go ahead, Rob. That's a good one.
I'm probably going to go. I'm going to wait to buy Sierra Wright. And because I'm guilty of when he committed, I thought that he was committing to basically take over as the other starting corner opposite Tommy Hill. But for some reason, it just maybe took him a while. I mean, a lot of these transfer newcomers, that's the case. I mean, Mazzccua and, guys like Stephon Thompson, like they have an acclimation period. And I think he's probably going through that right now. So the potential is still there for him to be firmly in that secondary rotation, but just need to see it right now. We know he's not going to be a starter. And then what happens when Bly Hill gets back? Mm-hmm. So there's kind of a foggy situation for what this season will hold for Sierra Wright.
I'm waiting to buy Bayer. I like him. I mean, I like him, but I want to see a little bit more. He had 4 starts last year and was solid. Can he go to another level than solid? And he's going to get an opportunity. And I like him. I think he's a great attitude guy. But let's see. Let's see if there's a drop off.
He's got some heat behind him now too.
Yeah, he's got players behind him too. So yeah, I'm waiting on Bayer. I like him, but you know how that goes. Liking, doesn't matter that much. I mean, I like the kid. I think he's a good kid, but you got to go make plays on Saturdays.
You sound like you're ordering at Colby Ridge, or not Colby Ridge. What's that place? The ice cream place. You say, like it, love it, got to have it.
Don't know that one, Sean.
Where'd you get ice cream?
Get out much.
Where did you get ice cream before your Chicken Nick show? What's that place called?
It wasn't Colby Ridge. It was
Cold Stone.
Cold Stone.
Cold Stone.
Yeah, that's
Creamer.
their sizing there.
Is it? That's what they say.
Like it, love it, got to have it. That's their small.
Yeah, I got.
Did you go medium or small or large?
Small.
So you went with like it.
Yeah, I went like it with Oreo cream, and it was just so. It didn't knock my socks off. I wanted something to knock my socks off. Didn't do it.
I just
fine.
Gave
it a C.
Those places.
What's that? I mean, you got to be real, Abby.
They're not sponsoring our show.
Abby, let's be real here.
Abby's mic's down, so.
Abby said there goes a sponsor. That's fine.
No, after hearing like the nutritionist, like former Dave Ellis, I asked him once, I go, what's the absolute like worst thing your guys can eat?
Okay, what is it?
And he said that.
Really?
Like as far as like what it does to your body.
Really?
Like ice cream in general or specifically?
Like that ice cream in general, but like high fat count, creamy ice cream.
Oh.
Like as far as like if you're trying to condition and build an athlete, it could, it's a big step back in your.
Good to know, Sean.
That explains a lot for me.
Why is that? Because you don't eat it?
I never used to eat ice cream, and then I met my wife, and she's big on it, and so it was just always there, and so I eat it.
You both are in good shape, though.
Well, it's a harder and harder battle by the day.
Yeah, trust me.
Like an ice cream cake from Dairy Queen or 402 Creamery. I mean, you get those dangerous.
Dangerous. I'll tell you what dangerous is. Yeah, vanilla ice cream with Hershey's on it. That can turn into 3 bowls in a second.
Don't go too crazy.
Right.
All right. Well, guys, what a rabbit hole we went down. We like to call that the HuskerOnline show, if you believe it or not.
Yep. And you know what? This is a perfect example. We need a game.
We're
kind of.
We just broke down ice cream for the end of our show.
We did. We kind of were all over the map today. But guess what? Next week, game week, we're going to preview some UTEP.
Okay.
We'll talk some minors.
Okay.
And headlines will be back on Friday. We're going to hold it a day because of Matt Rule. He's talking Friday. We want to make sure we get everything on headlines before we set things up for game week. And next week on game week, Tuesday, Husker Online show, Thursday, headlines, then the long-awaited post-game show returns.
Oh, wow.
So thank you for joining us. For Abby Barmore, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, I'm Sean Callahan.